ahead and call the meeting to order, or come out of closed session. Tom, we have announcements?
Thank you. The City Council met in closed session with respect to all of the items on the closed session agenda, and there is no reportable action, and that concludes the report.
Save the oak tree.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the regular session to order. Roll call, please, Debbie.
Councilwoman Moore?
Here.
Councilman Nick?
Here.
Councilman Walker?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Swanson?
Here.
Mayor Benoit?
Here. Senator Roth, could you lead us in the flag salute, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item today is we have a proclamation for our, well, he isn't our senator, but he's our dear senator, for being instrumental in getting back our funding for our BLF money. So Senator Roth, it's with esteemed gratitude that we have you here tonight, and we can give this to you and thank you for all the hard work you did. And for those of you who don't know, I think it was 3 years in a row you introduced the bill, and twice it was vetoed by your good friend. And then I don't know about you, but I really was thinking the third year it wasn't happening. And all of a sudden it all came together with SB1, with all the funding, and wow, we were really grateful. Grateful that you kept up the hard work and didn't stop doing what you were doing for us. So thank you from the bottom of our heart of our city, because without that we'd be in a really dire strait still. And we're still missing $12.5 million, but we'll move forward. So come on up. Thank you, Senator Roth. Senator Roth?
No, this
Okay.
is what we got.
So, I have to tell you, Senator Roth, we got this a long time before we got the check. This is a signed copy bill. We considered sending it back and asking for the check. We did hang on to it. And I don't know if you've heard our story, but we were very excited when we finally got the check. And usually they'll send it to us via direct deposit. But no, they had to send us a live check. We had to go ahead and cash it. Bank held it for 10 days. All that. But we did get this early on after you signed the bill.
we operate on the float.
Let me grab the microphone for you so you can address everybody. Oh, you want to get a picture of all that?
Let's get that.
Oh, okay. We should have the check here.
Really is.
Where's the canceled check here?
That's all right. This is working.
All right.
Thank you, guys. We know you have another meeting to go to, so we understand.
Thanks for the check.
All right, I'd like to call up our 4 Eagle Scouts. So Grant Manley, Montley Donovan, Noah Hindley, and Joshua Hindley. Did I get any of those right? All right, we're going to load you guys up. Come on over here. So, what do we have here? Montley? Monty, sorry. Monty. Grant? We're missing one, aren't we? Or? Yeah. What are we missing? Noah? Noah's here? So we're missing Josh. Josh is not here? All right. So, guys, congratulations on your achievement of Eagle Scout. This is a proud moment for you. You guys want to each tell us what you guys did for your project real quick and tell us what you did?
So down in San Diego at the San Diego Turtle and Tortoise Society, I built 3 hibernation boxes and I built 1 walk-in shelter for sulcata tortoises. And it was a big project, but it was definitely worth it.
For mine, I went down to the Lake Elsinore Animal Friends of the Valley dog shelter and I redid their back courtyard, built a rainbow bridge, cleaned up the facility, and added trash cans and a bench.
For mine, I went to Marno O'Brien Park and sanded down the legs and base of the water tower and repainted them.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We also have certificates here. First off, Brenda's here from our Congressman's office. Brenda, you want to come up and present your certificates? Brenda Dinstrat from Congressman Calvert's office.
Oh,
Good evening, everyone. What an honor to be here tonight for you guys. I know what a huge accomplishment this is for you guys, for this rank that you have achieved. My daughter is a graduating Girl Scout this year, spent 9 years in the Girl Scouts, so I know how much hard work and dedication you guys put into what you have done on your project. So on behalf of the Congressman, we want to offer our congratulations to you and present you with these certificates.
I'll help you figure out which one.
Great. Monty.
Thank you. Sorry. Brent.
Congratulations.
All right, we also have a certificate here for you. I'll let you do this one this time. From the Board of Supervisors for Kevin Jeffrey's office. So each one of you get a certificate as well from the Board of Supervisors. And then we also have certificates from Melissa Melendez. I'm sorry, no tickets, certificates.
Yeah, tickets? Yeah, we don't want tickets. Monty? Grant? See, these are good stuff, guys. Noah? Great with college applications, guys. Yeah.
Noah?
And Mayor Benoit, they're also going to personally meet with Senator Jeff Stone.
Yes.
Great.
Congratulations.
Line over here, guys. We got a picture with all the council members behind us.
Keep smiling.
Very good. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, we have one more proclamation. This is a proclamation in that the Parks and Recreation Makes Lives and Communities Better proclamation. This is a group that's a recognized group. This is a recognized year for this, for parks, excuse me, recognized day. But this proclamation, since the group isn't here, we're going to call up Daniel. Daniel, I see you're back there. Come on up here, Daniel. So Daniel is our head of our cemetery district. He's also the head of our parks maintenance department. He does all the good work out in the parks. So along with Daniel, Cameron, I know you guys are out there too, and Jeanette, come on down. You guys need to all be a part of this. So this is a proclamation for parks, and thank you guys for all your hard work out there and all the programs you guys do together and all the hard work out in the field. So we're going to take a picture, and you're going to hang on to that.
Yeah, man, it's fuzzy. Hold it down. It's you, Dan, not the camera. It's not working.
All right, let Joseph take a picture.
All right, so it's, are you guys back there? Or just you guys? I should go to the second one. Cheese. Wait. Are you guys get back there?
Why don't you guys stand up for parks? Come on, stand up for parks. Come on, guys.
Okay, we'll stand up.
Yes, Mayor.
All right, there it is. Cheese. Wow. Flash this one, it doesn't need to. Come on, it's not
All right, we got a meeting around here. Come on.
Check's in the mail, guys.
couldn't get the focus, dude. Return it.
All right, next we have a homeless update. Chief Dan Ann, are you coming down, or Gary, are you starting that, or?
Yeah, we thought, knowing that there's a lot of attention given to the homeless activities in the community, we thought we'd give the community an update on what the homeless activities are and how the city's addressing those, and some of the things that are going on that you're not aware of, and some of the plans for the future. And some hopes for the future. So starting off with that would be our Chief of Police, Dan Yan. He'll be followed by a building official. And Martin will be followed by our social services group.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to respond to is you didn't email me about the food handling truck or the ordinance on that. Staff looked into it and found an exception in there. They felt that it fell under because it was just putting together the tacos and not actually preparing them on the truck. The food was already all pre-cooked. But with that, I'll be bringing that up at the end of the meeting to address that ordinance that should have been addressed a long time ago.
And Mayor, I want to clarify, it was not Rotary, it was Wildomar Historical Society.
Right. Well, either way, there's no, the exception doesn't matter who was bringing it under. It definitely wasn't Rotary. Okay, with that, we will go on to council communications. We will also try and keep it short. Bridget?
I have some pictures, we can go through them quick. That's good. This is the July 4th parade. The RTA donated the trolley for the parade. This is at WRCOG. We're at Moronga. Vitality Zone open, went to the grand opening June 24th. That was our camp out. We had over 200 campers at the park. Tim with Senator Stone. This was Flag Day at the park, Martin O'Brien Park. Our two queens went to compete to state. That was June 25th. The bell ringing July 1st, sorry Marcia, you'd already left. The bell ringing July 1st. And then I got a picture of our birthday up on the big sign, which is this Saturday, July 14th. Is that it? Oh, that's it.
Very good. Dustin?
All right, bell ringing, parade for the 4th of July, WRCOG for the after party because of the traffic. And I had a meeting with Phil Lowe and Larry Martin about Bundy and I think something else going on, Palomar coming, I think. That's it.
I don't have any items to report on. I think Bridget's done them well.
Water District and my stunt demo was in all those photos. That wasn't me. That's it.
Real quickly, I've got a bunch of meetings. I'll skip all those. But this morning I met with, we were at RCTC, and there's a funding that RCTC has been using for freeway patrol services up in the Riverside area, more along the 91 and the 215 freeway on the 91 Corona area. And it's services where if you have a flat tire or something happens on the side of the road up on that area, automatically they see you, they'll pull over and help you out and get you back on the road. They'll put your new tire on, or they'll give you a gallon of gas. The reason I bring this up is they got a little bit more funding for this through SB1 to program it for the next 3 years. And the good news is that where they decided to apply the new funding, so here's some photos of these guys out on the road up in that area. Sorry, you don't need the baseball score. So right now they have 10 beats, 21 tow trucks, and about 101 miles that they patrol. This is a map of the area that they patrol. So again, up more of the 60, 215, 91, all that area up there. When they do this, they actually look for a cost-benefit model to see whether or not the 5 things are hit: congestion, lane geometries, all sorts of stuff, if there's a delay. And the idea is if there's someone that has a flat tire and they're stuck in the number 2 lane, that's obviously causing a lot of impact to everyone that's stuck on the freeway behind them, a lot of air quality issues, everything else. So they looked and they found out that our area down here has an 8-to-1 benefit-cost ratio. When I say down here, they're actually coming down. You'll now start seeing them on the freeway, all the way down to the 215, 15Y, all the way up to 74 on the 215, and all the way up to Lake Street, I believe, up in Lake Elsinore. So if you see a truck on the side of the road that has one of these logos, that money again is being paid for by SB1 money, that they have it for the next 3 years the way they programmed it. But if we lose SB1 money after that, it's going to be interesting to see what they do to find the money for this. I will tell you at that meeting there was a lot of comments about the fact that this does not go out in the Coachella Valley at all, and RCTC covers the entire county. And the Coachella Valley was sort of upset that they were getting it, or we were getting it and they weren't. But again, they looked at this modeling, and the modeling showed that we were the ones more in need of it at this time. So, good to have that out on the freeway for you, and for all of us out there, this keeps us all a lot safer, helps you get off the road if you're in trouble, and helps get you back on the road. And if they can't get you going, they'll actually then tow you to a designated spot off the freeway. So that's what they do. All right.
Real quick, we want to thank Richard and Sharon Heil for the birthday gifts. We all appreciate them very much. And besides our city birthday, we also have 2 other birthdays, so happy birthday to our city clerk, Debbie Lee, and our city manager, Gary Norquist.
Thank you, and thank you for the flowers.
All right, with that, the regular agenda, looking for an approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved, all ayes. All right, we're going to go into the consent calendar. I have 3 speakers on the consent calendar first. On item 2.10, Gina Castleman, social media. Gina? 2.10. Oh, sorry, 1.10.
Good evening, council, staff, and community members. Yeah, I hope that this means that you're going to be voting on it. We've been a city for 10 years. The community, in my opinion, has been left in the dark. I've attended a majority of the meetings over the past 10 years, and the city council chambers are usually pretty sparse. There's no media here to cover the news of Wildomar, except for Joseph, what he's been doing. And every city has social media policy, and it's about time that we've done it. It's way over time. You should have found the money a long time ago. And saying better late than never, but it would be better if it was tomorrow. So I hope it doesn't drag out, especially after the election. I think it would be very informative of the community to listen to your opinions and your decisions and how you vote and how you come to those decisions. And hopefully that'll translate in the ballot. Thanks.
Thank you. We've been told by staff that we should see stuff going on tonight, right?
Yes, this pertains to Facebook, Twitter. This is not the video streaming.
It's not?
No, sorry.
All right. Also for the social media policy 1.10, Kenny? Kenneth?
You couldn't get the consent calendar open on the website tonight either, so.
Open right up for me.
Oh, just a few questions about this social media. Fiscal impact, it says that there is no fiscal impact. I don't know how you can figure that. Section 2, definitions, B. The city has approved the use of Facebook for its social media presence. No additional social media platforms are to be utilized without express authorization of city manager. 58% of the entire adult population of this country have an account. What about the rest? This city placed bulletin boards in all 3 parks, but they never use them. The library and the post office never have any city events posted. Why? Part C, social media team, refers to those city employees specifically authorized by the city to create content or to post or comment on a city social media page on behalf of the city. Will elected officials be on this social media team? An elected official is an employee by IRS regulations. However, an elected official is not an employee by the Fair Labor Standards Act. And the last question, where's the RFP for online streaming?
All right, Ms. Miller, item 1.12.
You have already passed this project, and we're going to miss that open space. You're also taking out the parcel next to it. What a disappointment. It's going on all over the city, changing zones and preparing for more buildings of strip malls. We have stores, Stater Brothers, Albertson, Barron's. We don't need any more. The amount of fill that it will take to make this area flat enough to build will be just too expensive. Remember the terrible trucks and air quality that you could see gray when they were doing North Star? Have you forgotten? How many citizens have we prematurely lost because of that bad air? North Star is unattractive enough not to allow another wound right in front of it on Clinton Key. I am a little mixed up because I didn't spend enough time, because we only get this Thursday, and I have my personal problems. So I think city council should meet in the summer. It's difficult enough to do this for 9 months. So this project is apparently the one that's already passed. It's Wildomar crossings. So the papers said things about a Dollar Tree. What are you doing to Wildomar? Just leave those kind of places, you know, where they are. And they're down in Marietta. We go there. We get what we need, but it's such an import house. You're causing more travel to come in from China, bringing huge boats, more pollution in the docks, just to have things that are decorative and some useful, but mostly not of quality. So why is Wildomar supporting that? Do you go over to Moreno Valley and look at the long line of dollar stores there? So, you know, I think I have the right shopping center.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Well, that couldn't be 3 minutes. What about the traffic?
Ms. Miller, thank you very much.
What about the lack of sidewalk? What about no bikes?
All right, with that, we'll move on to the
Every
consent
station on
calendar. Does
no
anyone on the
people
city
with
council have
carts.
any items on the consent calendar they wish to pull?
No, move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the consent calendar.
Everything?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That item moves. All ayes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Under the terms of the franchise agreements that we have with our waste haulers, which is both Waste Management and CNR&R, both of the waste haulers are to deliver a report of residential account delinquencies from the previous calendar year with a request that the city submit the account delinquencies information to the Riverside County Assessor's Office. On May 9th, 2018, the City Council provided a notice of intent to hold a public hearing on June 13th, informing the public that the City Council will consider adopting a resolution confirming the reports of the delinquent accounts so that the delinquencies may be collected on the property tax rolls. The public hearing was continued on June 13th and therefore is happening today, July 11th. Both waste haulers have mailed notices of this hearing to the residential customers listed on the delinquency reports at least 10 days prior to this hearing. The delinquency charges of Waste Management total 311 parcels in the amount of $103,818.22. The delinquent charges of CR&R totaled 246 parcels in the amount of $76,428.87, which is a total of $180,247.09. Many of these delinquent charges are a result of abandoned and foreclosed properties where the residents are unable or unwilling to pay the balance of their trash services. Both Waste Management and CR&R have representatives here to answer any questions or respond to any inquiries that customers may have. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Very good. We have a speaker on this item, George Acosta. Oh, Jorge?
Mr. Acosta is not here anymore. He talked with our CR&R representative, and they came to a resolution, so he didn't. He left.
Great.
And didn't have a need to speak.
Okay. Any other speaker comment cards on this? Am I missing any? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing. And any council questions on this? All right, I'll look for a motion.
Move to approve.
I will second that, Bridget.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That item passes 4-0 with Tim Walker out of the room at the moment. Personal item. All right, with that, we'll go on to item 2.3, WPS Consistency Zone Change, number 180052. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a consistency zone change. The applicant has submitted a request to change the existing zoning on the site from rural residential to MSC. The zone change would bring the property into compliance with the existing general plan land use designation of light industrial. and they plan to process a plot plan in the future to relocate their existing business to the site. This is the location. It's right there on Mission Trail at the terminus from Bundy Canyon. This exhibit shows the existing general plan designation for the site as well as the surrounding area. Everything in purple is light industrial, the red is commercial retail. And then on the right side is the zoning map that shows the site is RR. You can see some of the other zoning designations, MSC immediately to the north and IP kind of to the north too. So the Planning Commission reviewed the zone change at its meeting last month. They had no concerns relative to the request. The proposed zone change to MSC, as I mentioned, would make the site consistent with the existing general plan. We had no public speakers on the agenda item, and based on the findings in the report that we had, the Commission adopted PC Resolution 2018-16 recommending council approval of the zone change. So that concludes my comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, for council questions, I've got one speaker on this item, or a couple actually. Ms. Miller?
Council, I read in the documents that this is going to be a place where they store trucks, and that's the business that they have. Now, they were sitting right next to me, so I guess they'll come up and confirm this. But I mean, trucks coming off I-15, going down Corridon, or coming down Mission Trail to be parked and stored. This is kind of like a truck stop. And, you know, I think the air quality will be deeply impacted with that much traffic because Elsinore's lost their minds, in case you didn't know that. I mean, they're putting up Calquan football stadiums and on that very corner. For goodness sakes, I mean, we just can't add more trucks. And there's a school there, Elsinore High School. They don't need to absorb the pollution of that kind of business. So we need confirmed. I mean, what a sketchy presentation. You didn't even tell us what they're going to put there in the future, but you're going to change the zone. All right, the applicant is paying for the expensive change of zone, as this change would probably be commercial venue if the city changed it, and the county left inconsistencies in the property when it was in charge by not zoning it. So June 6, 2018, the City of Wildomar General Plan Environmental Impact Report 441 didn't state all of the impacts that would be going on here and the information we have on greenhouse gases. So I just find this not to be enough information for you to be making a decision on it. And the runoff from a whole yard of trucks, 4 acres of trucks, I mean, I don't know how many that could be. I mean, let's work on the math on that. Up to 150 trucks, you know, you can get several on 1 acre, at least 65 trucks. I mean, what are we talking here?
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
All right, so now I get to find out from the applicant exactly what's going down.
Matt, did the applicant want to speak, or I guess I missed that word?
I believe they're here.
I've got one more public comment or two if the applicant wants to respond and speak.
Good evening, my name's Robert Bear.
Ms. Miller, please be quiet so we can have the rest of the meeting.
Trees, orchards, anything but a
Just go
truck
ahead.
stop.
We can hear you.
I'm the general counsel for the applicant, and I'd be happy to respond to questions, but I think Mr. Bassi, I've worked with both him and the city attorney on this. We've gone through the protocols, and I don't have any specific comments. Just wanted to report here, so.
Great, thank you. Kenneth Mays.
Those are going to be the same comments for 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. None of these zone changes should be enacted, leaving these properties zoned as they currently are, rural residential, until such time as this city properly updates its general plan by holding local workshops with local residents. The general plan has not been updated in 15 years.
Thank you for your comment. With that, we'll close the public hearing on this item. Anyone have any questions up here?
Not questions, just a comment since applicant is here. And I know this is a zone change, but I'm just gonna bring it up now. When you do come back with the plot plan, I hope to see the green fencing netting gone. And, because it's an eyesore, and then I guess some sort of parking lot, because there's so many cars that park right there on the street, yeah, and then we can move that back into a parking lot and then have a trail and actually connect, and we can actually maybe connect from the animal shelter down to the library, you know, so planning ahead, so, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? You need to go ahead and read the ordinance into the record, right, Debbie? Yeah. All right, ordinance number 152, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wildomar, California, approving the zone change of 18-0052 from RR Residential to MSC, Manufacturing Service Commercial, to be consistent with the general plan use designation of light industrial for a 4.76 acre site located at 33961 Mission Trail, APN 370-060-047, and the determination that no additional environmental CEQA review is required per CEQA guidelines section 1518.3. That's the ordinance, I ask for a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Any opposed? So moved. All right, we'll move on to item 2.4, the consistency zone change, item number 18-0057. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another consistency zone change. And this particular project is a request from rural residential to C1CP on the property. The zone change, again, would bring the property into compliance with the existing land use designation of commercial retail. The property owner has no immediate plans to develop the site. This is a location just off of Hidden Springs and Stable Lanes. That's areas designated by the red lines. This description as given on the left shows the commercial retail designation for the whole area. And then you can see some of the zoning on the site being SLRR. So again, the commission reviewed this zone change at its June 6th meeting. The commission did not have any concerns with the request. As mentioned, it would bring the compliance or the existing zoning, the current zoning, bring it into compliance with the general plan. Again, on this one, we had no public speakers on this item, and the commission passed resolution 2018-18 recommending city council approval of the zone change. That concludes my comments.
Very good. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is the applicant here to speak? No? Okay.
I don't believe they are yet.
Okay. So we'll go to public comments. Ms. Miller? Ms. Miller, please come on down. Go ahead and start the timer, Debbie.
Start the timer? That's just plain rude. Then I'll have to stay up here further. All right, where is this property? It's not across from Stater Brothers? No? All right, it befits you to say things to me, and then if I ask something, I don't get the answer. Anyway, North Star is unattractive enough not to allow another wound of a flat commercial distressed overheating block of rooftops and concrete parked next to it. Greyhawk, Windsong, Bayberry, it's all at capacity. We don't need any more stores on top of these houses. Once again, where are walking and biking privileges and actions going to be constructed? It is a very deadly street now, Clinton Keith. It can't accommodate that kind of activity. Jogging, you'll fall in the rock piles, and nothing was done about that, but in the valley, yes, we a lot of voters there. General plan has no regard for open space or traffic and ozone buildup of unacceptable air quality. The map should correlate with proportions that register increased strip mall commercial retail would decrease breathability and increased asthma, emphysema, heart conditions, lack of motivation for students, and impacted sick days at work because of poor air quality. This traffic combined from Bear Creek North and Copper Canyon South, plus school, plus shopping already there, plus newly remodeled shopping centers, plus events at Santa Rosa Plateau will be too much stall. Return to home times from fuming, mad, rich people back in those hills. Losing votes, thank goodness for you. Yeah, go boys. All right, The stores proposed already have venues in Wildomar, and we don't need more fast food places or whatever is being proposed. I think there's a dollar store there. Like
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
said before, this is very close to the other one I was thinking
Thank you, Ms.
of.
Miller.
So I'm just gonna have to keep talking because I got to tell my time, Rick.
No, you've
Anyway,
gone past your
it's the
time
same
more than
place.
I.
All right, where's the
you're
policeman?
Staring at the TV.
Where'd he
Right,
go?
This will be ordinance
Did he
number
let me go?
153, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wildomar, California, approving this change of zone to 180057 from RR Rural Residential to C1 CP General Commercial to be consistent with the general plan use designation of commercial retail CR for a 1.19 acre parcel located on the east side of Stable Lanes Way, approximately 510 feet south of Clinton Road, APN 380-120-006, and the determination that no additional environmental review is required per CEQA guidelines, section 1518.3. All right, with that, I will take a motion.
Move ordinance number 153.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any opposed? So moved. That moves with all 5 affirmative. On item 2.5, vote consistent change 180056. Matt. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. This is our third consistency zone change proposal. This request is to change the zoning from RR to MSC to match the general plan land use designation of light industrial. They will be processing a future plot plan to possibly expand the existing business that's there. This site's Harv Dykstra's old door and window business site. You'll see that on the exhibit. So Baxter Road is on the bottom part of the exhibit there, Western Way leading up to the site. You can see the general plan has it designated as light industrial. The zoning is RR, so the MSC zoning will match the general plan as well as be consistent with the zoning right to the south and southwest. Again, the Planning Commission reviewed this at its June 6th meeting. There were no issues or concerns. We did have one speaker, adjacent property owner, that wanted to maintain the RR zoning on the site. But based on the findings in the report, the Commission adopted Resolution 2018-17, recommending council approval of the zone change. That concludes my comments. Any applicant here that wishes to testify?
Just saw let you know I am present.
Great, thank you. All right, with that, we'll open the public hearing on this item. Ms. Miller.
Very nice, door and window. And I'm sure they're going to be using the R ratings of the most efficient door and windows and not wood products. And wonderful. Well, let's place it somewhere in a building that already exists and not be building from the ground up. Because this is
Ms.
what
Miller, there is a building there.
Yes, there is. Well, then let's use that and not put any more buildings there in parking
I
lots
believe
covered
that's the
over with
applicant's
concrete.
intent.
What's that?
That's the applicant's intent.
Okay,
To
then
use the
I have
existing
nothing
building.
to talk about then. If you were
Okay.
just remodeling, and keep it in mind, all those green ventures there. All right, team.
All right. With that, I'll read the ordinance for ordinance 154, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wildomar, California, approving the change of zone 180056 from RR Rural Residential to MSC, Manufacturing Service Commercial, to be consistent with the general plan use designation of light industrial, LI, for a 2.2 acre parcel located at 34860 Western Way, APN 367-300-028, and a determination that no additional environmental review is required per CEQA guidelines 1518.3.
So moved.
Second.
Any opposed? That item moves 5-0. All right, that brings us into general business. Wouldn't we get set if we go ahead and take the joint energy powers item now so we can get Mr. Rick Bishop back to Fullerton and all his staff. And I know Jeremy Goldman here from Edison. I think we ought to go ahead and dispense with this item first if that's okay.
Yes.
No, that's good. Okay, we'll take item 3.2 first. Dan.
Yep, thank you. I'll keep this fairly brief. First of all, I want to thank Rick Bishop, Executive Director, WRCOG, being here, Barbara Spoonhour, Director, and Tyler Masters, Program Manager and soon-to-be father. Thank you. We're much like a partnership with WRCOG, as you've heard many different programs tonight, and they are definitely a partner with us. We did quite a program back in February. We won't walk through all of these slides. There were questions that the council had. We've not been able to fully answer those. Edison has come forward. They weren't able to answer all the questions. They said certain things are still coming. Really what the action tonight is like a half step. The step that we're asking for you to take tonight is to pass a resolution, enter into an agreement to join the Western Joint Powers Authority, and then secondly, to appoint a director and an alternate. What that does is it puts Wildomar at the table with the other communities in Western Riverside to continue to study the merits of a community choice aggregate program for not only our community but for the region. And then at the conclusion of that reviewing of the reports, we will come back and we'll either make a decision to join the CCA or to not, and then to end our activities with the JPA. So it's really a half step. There's no fiscal impact to us. WRCOG has committed funds up through this process. And that completes staff's presentation. Mr. Rick Bishop is here. I think would like to be able to make a few comments.
Come on down.
Thank you, Mayor and council members and city manager, city attorney and staff. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I am Rick Bishop. I'm the executive director of WRCOG. As Dan had indicated, we know that you've had a workshop on this issue before, so if it's okay with you, Mayor, and members of the council, we'll dispense with the long PowerPoint presentation. But we're really appreciative of the fact that the city is bringing this forward. We're hoping that you'll support the recommendation. This is a really simple concept, and it has been for years, and that's why so many jurisdictions throughout the state are moving ahead on community choice aggregation, is that it basically puts, it actually strikes a lot of parallels to the discussion you're having on the sales tax initiative. It provides your residents with the ability to make a choice on something with regard to where they receive their energy, and it also provides local control. And we think that those are two very important factors in that. What it basically does is when you opt into a community choice aggregation program, you're taking the decision making, which is on energy rate setting, which is currently occurring in San Francisco with the CPUC and Edison, and you're putting it right here in the local jurisdiction. We think that's important. We've been very deliberate in developing this program. We actually started this in 2015. We did a feasibility study which showed about a 4% savings, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but these were done with very, very conservative assumptions. We also have actually half those assumptions just for purposes of example, and we found that at just a $200 a month energy bill rate, which is low in these parts of the sub-region, at just a 2% savings, your residents who choose to be part of this program would save on the order of $75 a year, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but every penny counts in this society. If you multiply that across the number of accounts in the city, that's $400,000 a year that can get invested by your residents at their discretion back into the community. We think that that's a huge economic advantage as well. So again, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have about this. We know that you've been very careful and diligent as you move forward. We appreciate the support of staff, and we certainly support the recommendation to take this step forward. And Barbara and Tyler and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Very good. All right, we'll go ahead and take the public comment, and we'll see if there's any questions. Kenneth Mays.
I, for one, will never buy anything from an entity controlled by the shadow government called WRCOG, nor from any entity that this city has an involvement with. We're still paying a hefty price for the last JPA we joined for the animal shelter financing.
Next speaker, Patrick Ellis.
Good evening again, everybody. Council, staff, Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Myriad Wildomar Chamber of Commerce again. I had the opportunity to meet with Ms. Spoonhour a couple months ago to talk about the CCA. At the time, we talked about a lot of different things. Was asked to speak about it at the Myriad Council meeting. Did so. I believe if, what it sounds like right now, joining this now, there's no financial impact, there's no nothing. It makes sense to go ahead and move that. The two things that I brought up at the time, which I'm sure that you are aware of, But to keep in mind moving forward is one, obviously there is the exit fee that still has to be determined at the end of this month, which will play a huge part into what the dollar amount is at the end of the day. The other part too was, and I still haven't gotten a clear and concise answer to this though, is that my understanding is that any resident or business can opt out of the CCA at any given time. But my understanding is the municipality itself does not have that option. So that is one thing to keep in mind moving forward, and if I'm wrong, then that's a good thing, but I think...
I'm seeing head shaking no over there that we can opt out.
Okay, so that was one thing that just there was never any clarification on. So with that, thank you for the time.
Thank you. All right. Council.
I just want to make clarification, there's a big difference between the JPA and the animal shelter in this one, because the animal shelter JPA was already formed before it became a city, so we came to the party late, and we didn't agree with the rates. Gary and I tried, and they cannot be changed, so there's a huge difference between that JPA and this JPA.
I think it's, I have nothing, it's good.
Okay.
Well, and I was kind of on the fence here, I think you guys know, but I think at least staying involved and knowing what's going on is really, really important. So I think we need to move forward with this.
Not come to the table late.
I agree.
In there.
Well, my electric bill is about $7,000 a year, so I'm all up for saving 4%. That's a lot of money to me, so I like it.
Okay. Well, the other part is appointing a designated, or
Do we need to move approval first? And then
do we need to move approval first? Or will you take that together? The resolution and the appointing.
This one you could take together.
I thought so.
Okay. Then I would like to offer Ben up.
Well, I'm already on the WRCOG board, and I think a good idea, and I'd be happy to do it.
Dustin will
Dustin's the backup.
I want
His
to,
backup?
I'd love to be your backup. When are we looking at, what is the time commitment for this?
Well, if I show up every time, nothing.
Well, I want to be there though too, because I also want to,
When do we plan on meeting, Barbara? Is the question.
Yeah.
The idea is to hold it in conjunction with our executive committee meetings, either prior that day or after the meeting.
Right after, since I'm on RCTC and not always get there.
Starting in September.
Okay. Yeah, that'd actually work. That's fine.
Okay.
September should be like a totally, I can start to coast a little bit, so yeah, that's fine.
All right, we always welcome to join.
Thank you.
It's good lunch there.
That is my motion.
Okay. So a motion, that was 2 seconds. Any opposed? That moves 5-0. All right.
Store America would like to request a general plan amendment for 3 parcels at around 4.8 acres. Specifically, the request would be to change the land use from CR to business park. The GPA is needed to redevelop the site with a new self-storage facility that would include RV parking. The site has a current zoning designation of C1CP. So here's the location. It's off of Mission Trail, north of Bundy Canyon, right where that white star is. If you've driven up and down Mission Trail, you know exactly where this is. The existing zoning shows, the commercial retail and the red across the street. You have the light industrial, and then you have the zoning on the side, which is C1CP, and it shows other zoning categories there. Oops. So just as a way of a background, the council in 2012 directed the planning department to prepare a code amendment that basically prohibited new self-storage facilities in our commercial zones. And what it did is require a conditional use permit in the industrial zones that we have, specifically the IP and MSC. So at the time, and this information is in your staff report packet, there were 4 or 5 existing self-storage facilities that became non-conforming upon the effective date of that ordinance, which was ordinance number 69. Our non-conforming code does not allow the alteration, addition, or enlargement or intensification of any non-conforming use or structure, with the exception that there is a provision that it could expand 25% provided it's on the same site. The code redevelopment of the site could only occur if the existing facility was damaged by fire, explosion, or acts of God. And as the applicant has conveyed to staff, the existing facility is somewhat dilapidated and needs replacement. And I got some exhibits, conceptual design ideas that they'd have if they were able to do this. So this shows the design. Now this is a second iteration. What was presented to Planning Commission was kind of an industrial looking thing, and several of the commissioners wanted to see a different kind of design, and the applicant listened to that, came up with this design. Obviously this is pretty preliminary, but we would work with them to get the best design that we could. This is kind of a site plan layout that shows the two main buildings and then the RV parking in the middle with the office in the middle facing Mission Trail. So as part of the GPIP process, we always try to identify some of the issues with the general plan proposal. In this case, the several questions that I've come up with, and these are in the report packet, the council should consider: is the business park land use designation MSC zoning appropriate for this specific location? Does redevelopment of the new facility to replace an existing dilapidated facility outweigh any land use compatibility issues? Is the loss of retail zone land along Mission Trail acceptable? Self-storage facilities are kind of a quasi-industrial use. And then is there any alternative to the above? One of the things I drafted in the staff report was, if the general plan amendment to business park and the zone change to MSC wasn't a good idea, there's an alternative that Tom and I have discussed that we could possibly look at, amending our non-conforming section to create a special exemption for this one particular facility, but it really would relate to other storage facilities in the city. The other facilities that are existing are in very good shape. They're not as dilapidated as this one and not as old as this one is. But we don't know if that could be even looked at. I mean, we can look at it. We don't know if we could come up with that without creating some legal issues for the city. So that is an alternative to the land use amendment. If the land use change goes through, the applicant could then come back with his GPA, his zone change, and a conditional use permit to basically redevelop the site and do the improvements and provide landscape and architecture and all that. So our recommendation tonight is to receive public testimony from the applicant and the public, discuss the land use and planning issues related to the GPA, and provide feedback and responses to the applicant. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Matt. We do have 3 public comment cards. Ms. Miller?
Mayor Pro Tem, we do have the applicant here too as well tonight.
Yes, I've got.
Well, why don't you let him speak first?
What, public comment first?
All right. So this piece of property already has buildings on it? It could be remodeled? And no, it has what on it? Nothing?
It has very dilapidated storage units on it that
Oh,
were
it's already-
container
it's already
units, I
formed.
believe.
Well, then how could it be out of compliance with the general plan if it's already?
It was done by the county
Okay.
before the plan.
Well, all right, then, I don't think we need more storage places, so I don't see that he should spend his time thinking about more buildings. And like we determined earlier, we need more tree nurseries and living green things and orchards. So I put it for him to think more of that than putting buildings in a hot sheet of concrete and the heat islands that produces because of rooftops and fuming buildings. So, there's better things to do with the property, sir, and I hope you consider them in the light of the environmental crisis that we face and the melting of the Antarctic and the Arctic, and the microbursts that sweep through here and the strong wind that goes across the airport and heads into Elsinore, and plus the traffic that will bring, if he understands what's going on in Elsinore, it's just going to be too many cars on that area. So, reconsider and give it a more of a treed look and hopefully it will be of benefit to the environment instead of the detriment.
The next speaker is Gina Castanon, and I believe she has left.
Kenneth Mays. Kenneth.
This change of zone should be denied. The current business is operating as illegal non-conforming. Now the facility is dilapidated to the point where it needs to be torn down and replaced. It should be torn down and not allowed to be replaced, as it will not conform with the current general plan. Again, the city needs to take the time to update our general plan, and in doing so, not approve any zone changes in the interim. Thank you.
The applicant, would you like to go ahead and speak at this point?
Good evening. We're here to answer any questions you have about the facility that's existing. It's rather full, so the traffic impact is kind of moot. It exists as it does today. It is in need of a facelift, I think would be a kind way to put it. So, and that's what we would, that's why we're here. That's what we'd love to do.
Great. Thank you. Huh? You have a question for the applicant? Go ahead.
So your previous owner of that place was a very generous and community-minded individual. And there's a lot of good nonprofits in our area that are doing good for the community, but they need storage places. So I was wondering, in the future, I know this is not what we're discussing tonight, but just in the future, would you consider doing a nonprofit rate? Because a lot of our organizations, our Boy Scouts, need storage, but they don't receive, very little money. I know the dues are $15 a month, so you can't pay a lot of storage with that. So if you would, in following the previous individual, offering some discounted rate for nonprofits, 501c3s.
I'll speak on that. Yes, we're very big proponents of supporting local communities.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I want to disclose that I have met with the applicants, but I am going to move that the applicant may.
Hold on, I think we might have some more discussion. Go ahead and sit down, guys.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion we want to have up here, or?
Well, I guess there's two options, right? There's this, or we direct staff to go back and see if we can.
Improving, my thoughts are improving this site, and then with what it was 2.1 or a few agenda items ago, across the street, them doing an improvement will really enhance this area. And like I said before, then if maybe not a sidewalk, but sort of trail, something we connect then all the way from the gas station down to the Elks, in front of their place, and then the other side, and it's connectivity and walkability. So I think having both them improving that area would just going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't see that it's going to take away any of the commercial retail right there in that area anyway. And it's already there, so.
It's already there.
Right.
Improving on what's already there, and I saw their new design, and the buildings look a lot nicer and everything. It's good.
Well, I'd make a comment, the whole idea of the non-conforming use was that council, I believe it was right before I got on, or maybe it was while I was on, I'm not sure. But right on that time, decided they didn't want any more self-storage places, so they basically said you can no longer do that in that particular zone, and that created all these non-conforming use self-storage places. But I don't think that was the intent of the council to say, and also you can never improve them.
Right, no, this one's already here.
Right, so I think the ones that are already here, to see one coming forward to improve, I think is great. And so I appreciate you guys, anytime someone's coming forward in our community to help improve it, that's always a great thing.
Oh, I did have a question. So the adjacent, when you're saying improving, do you already own the property that you're going to be expanding on? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So what we're looking at is either kind of giving our thumbs up to the GPA, or having directing staff to go back and look at the ramifications of having non-conforming
Tom, maybe I know Tom had mentioned some stuff about it. Tom, you want to talk about that, your concerns about that? Or?
Right, well, so two options tonight are either to approve the general plan initiation process, which is allowing the applicant to process for these entitlements, so it will go through the process and it will come back to you. Or allow Matt and I to spend some time researching whether the non-conforming use section of our code can be changed or modified to deal with this situation. We don't know if it can. We've kicked around the idea, but we haven't spent the time to see if that's a possibility here.
Now, if we go that route for the applicant, would the process be cheaper?
Well, if we created the code amendment, it's likely we would want to see a conditional use permit to do that. So that's only one application. I think our CUP application around $9,500. General plan amendment's about $6,000 or $7,000, and the zone change is another $3,500. So if we move forward with the initiation, we'll have the general plan amendment, the zone change, and the CUP application combined. If somehow the code could be changed in our non-conforming section, and through a CUP they could redevelop the site within the non-conforming status, that would just be the conditional use permit, less the charges that, for research that we got to do on it, which, the applicant wouldn't be responsible to pay for that research.
He would be responsible.
No, because it'd be a city-initiated code amendment, and so Tom and I would have to donate our time. Or maybe me, not Tom.
Oh,
Yeah, Tom doesn't donate time.
Right, so we'd be spending money on possibly one issue.
Right, I think my bigger question, Tom, which one has the most exposure for the city, being risk averse? I mean, which one's the simpler one to go down, I guess is the question. Which one has less risk?
Well, so, I mean, we just haven't explored the non-conforming use code amendment. So hard for me to say at this point. It's just been an idea. We haven't sunk our heads into it. I mean, and a general plan amendment has very low exposure.
Yeah, because it's already on our general plan, so we're just changing from one designation to another. It's already commercial retail, which is, and this one's a less stringent industrial.
I'm just going off of what Ben said earlier, what the intent originally was, and should we fix that now? I mean, is it, or do we put it off a little while and, that's no.
Well, again, I don't know if we can fix it now.
Yeah.
It's just review the item to see if it can be fixed. And I don't know the answer to that question tonight.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm not implying that it would be tonight. What I'm getting at is
right,
what he was saying earlier about the intent originally when it was passed, the ordinance 69 or whatever it was.
I guess what I'm hearing is the clear path, you can go forward, start going with the general plan amendment, go with your zone change and move forward. Or the foggier path is maybe we can fix the ordinance, but maybe we can't.
Yeah, okay.
I guess my thing would be at this point to go ahead and send them down at the GPIP path and through that path, and that's probably the easiest way to do that. Okay. And I think that's the fairest way, and with the least risk to the city and everything else, so.
That's fine, I just wanted to discuss it.
Yep, I'm glad we did. All right.
All right, motion's still gonna be about the same.
Yeah.
I'll move that the applicant may initiate the process and the proposed general plan amendment if the applicant chooses to do so. After hearing our comments and the things the council would like to see there and see the improvement done. Applicant should be aware that revising the proposal to include any of those ideas may help alleviate some of the council's concerns. So that's my motion.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, on to item 3.3. Ordinance charter or chapter 9.52 of the municipal code related to aggressive and intrusive solicitation. Gary and Tom.
Thank you very much. So as we heard earlier tonight about the homeless situation in the community and the updated activities from police and code enforcement and our social services group, a number of items that are taking place, but one of them that we looked at was our ordinance and wanted to be consistent with other communities in the region and the approach that's being taken. So Tom has crafted this documentation that he'll go over with you about the effects of this and what it will do with the community. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. So briefly, I'd just like to summarize just a few of the highlights of this ordinance. And first off, it's important to mention that solicitation is a form of speech that's protected by the Constitution. So cities can place reasonable restrictions on it, but those restrictions have to be narrowly written. So what does this ordinance regulate? It prohibits aggressive solicitation everywhere, and non-aggressive solicitation is prohibited at sensitive locations such as banks, ATMs, bus stops, gas stations, and other areas. It also prohibits solicitation that would cause safety problems. For example, solicitation is prohibited in a city street or in a city median. Solicitation in commercial parking areas is regulated with the involvement of the owner. It also prohibits unlawful camping. For example, camping on private property without the owner's consent is prohibited. However, camping on private property is allowed if a city permit is issued. And the city manager can also develop regulations for a special permit for large camping events on city property. That concludes the brief presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Public comment on this? Kenny?
This whole ordinance is not a solution. It's nothing more than a cheap Band-Aid for a national problem. It will allow the Sheriff's Department to transport to French Valley, where they will kick them loose, more than likely with a voucher for a cab ride right back here, and all paid for by the taxpayer. What has happened to the regional coalition the city joined back in October of 2016? There have been no updates to the citizens of this community about what that coalition is doing. The city is always trying to take the easy way out of everything, like counting the homeless, which was done without the benefit of any volunteers. Who wants to bother with those pesky volunteers? Even the experienced group out of Temecula who volunteered to help get an accurate count. Or those of us that received training from the county of Riverside to count the homeless here in Wildomar. Just putting this item near the end of a long agenda shows how much value you place on this item. Thank you.
All right, it's the only public speaker I have on this item. It's the council's pleasure. Bridget?
I'm glad we're doing this, and actually it gives the city and our police department some teeth to work at, so it actually is needed, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah, the same thing as Bridget said, I'm glad we're doing it. My question to staff, and this is more, I have no quarrels with the ordinance itself, but it was talking to Captain Ann. The 602 forms, are we going to start making that a part of the process for landowners to kind of do? As part of the processes?
Ask them if they
Well, ask them, or, you know, I guess strongly, hey, or make it easy for them to do. Maybe they don't know about it, I don't know. And then the second part was, I think that's what I have right now. Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The letter, the private property, right? So we make it aggressive solicitation to be defined as whatever we want, right? We talk about Boy Scouts standing in front of Alpersons or Stater Brothers right here, Alpersons. Can we make like a draft 95% solution letter for the property owners that kind of relatively fit the most, basics of what we think they'd want? So we're helping them to get us their letters so we can enforce it a little easier. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so they can allow it, and they're not violating the ordinance and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think on the private property, they have the right anyway. Am I correct?
They do, so that's...
But the entrances to,
well, yeah.
shopping centers, stuff like that, right?
It's still considered private property. That was one of the problems that we were having. Some of them were under the illusion that they couldn't do anything because the city wouldn't want it. So they've been going back and forth on it, and we've been trying these guys to get something out there to stop them, specifically right here at Albertsons. But it is private property and they do have the rights. And if they want to have everybody solicited and they're in their private property, they can do that.
But this ordinance allows them to file a letter with the sheriff, and
Right.
the sheriff can enforce it.
And I
Right, so
think-
they
I
can,
think
yeah, it
that's
just gives them
most
some
im-
teeth and it gives us some teeth to try to help them
The
out.
most important part of it is awareness and to get out to our retail centers and our private property owners. And if there's a form they have to fill out, that should be included with the letter and mailed to every one of them.
Yep.
And follow through. Give them a check off if we get a letter back. If we don't, we're gonna have to hit them again, because they're not on public property for the most part doing it. Caltrans every now and then, it's dangerous on and off ramps for them to even be there. But I think done a great job and covered everything. I mean, it's all laid out with a number.
Yeah, I saw that. And the highway patrol have all the.
Yeah, they will.
They get on them all the time.
Well, I think this is great in that, I know we're mirroring a lot of what Lake Elsinore is already doing on this, which means our officers that are working in that station that are helping out on that side can help on this side and know what's going on. So I'm glad this is finally coming forward. It's something I've been hoping to see come forward for a little while, and especially since we've been having so many complaints about homelessness. And people that came forward and said, hey, the sheriff was, or the sheriff's officers mentioned there's stuff going on in Elsinore, this is what that is. So glad to see this coming forward
And a
finally.
big part of those people aren't even residents or homeless, either one. That's how they make their living.
Yeah, yeah, we know that.
What I was getting at earlier with the written policy, they have to give a policy to the city
Right.
for the shopping centers. What I was getting at is if we can draft something for them
Oh,
to
yeah.
give to us.
You know, we give them that.
So it's
Absolutely.
pretty much done, and making
Right.
it easy for them. That's what I was implying.
No, that's good.
That's part of it.
All right.
All right, looking for approval.
We'll move ordinance number 155.
Did you read the title?
Thank you. No, we need to read the title on this one. All right, well, this is ordinance number 18-155, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wildomar, California, amending the Wildomar Municipal Code to regulate and prohibit certain conduct and conditions to protect public health and safety by adding chapter 9.52, prohibition against certain conduct on public property and property open to the public. Take a motion. I have a motion.
Second.
A second. Any opposed? Item 3.3 moves. All ayes. All right, item 3.4, League of California Cities Business Meeting, voting and delegates.
The League of California Cities Annual Conference is September 12th through 15th this year in Long Beach. You have already appointed Councilman Walker as your voting delegate and Mayor Benoit as your one alternate. You can appoint a second alternate if you wish, or you can change that around right now if you want. But this is the time to do it.
Anyone else going to be there?
I'll be there too, but I'm gonna, I'll be the second alternate.
You going to be there on Friday?
Yeah, Thursday to Friday, yeah.
Okay.
This is,
He doesn't know what he's getting into. So what happens when you're the second alternate is when I go, hi, and then you have to do it.
You'll be in the room all by yourself because I found that out. Except for last time Gary had to wait for me, so. Poor Gary, he doesn't get out of it. We should have just made him the alternate.
All right, so I have Dustin as the alternate, we
No,
the two.
Dustin's the second alternate.
Oh, second alternate, sorry.
There's an alternate and there's already a tertiary.
Like it is. Tim, you, and then Dustin.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm always there. I don't really care.
I'll make the motion.
Marcia made the motion.
We'll second that.
All right, any opposed? That item moves, all five from the affirmative. All right, Gary, city manager's report.
Yes, thank you. Just briefly, just a couple of comments. Thank you to the Isles for the consideration of their 10th year birthday party recognition. Certainly appreciate that. As you know, we have the 10-year birthday party this Saturday, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. out at Martin O'Brien Park. It's going to be a great event. We got photo booths, face painters, glitter artists. We got entertainment. We got the arena band. Came back together from San Diego. They got back together just for this event because they love playing Wildomar. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
We're going to have, I mean, it's going to be crazy. People falling out of the sky.
When did I hear about lasers?
Lights going up in the sky. It's just going to be wild. One of the best events ever for this region.
Ever.
So that's ever.
That'd be huge.
From 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock is the event. The ceremonies and all that kind of stuff, the birthday cake and all, will be about 6 o'clock. So it's gonna be a great day. Just encourage everybody out there to participate.
And I see you ordered much better weather than last weekend.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Daniel's project, yeah, that was warm last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Future agenda items. No one? I've got two. Food trucks. We gotta get on this ordinance. It's been a long time. We've talked about it before. I know it was on the list at one point, fell off somehow. We gotta get back on that. The current ordinance is very prohibitive. Doesn't need to be in my mind.
And can we just look at one of our neighbors?
Yeah, the county updated theirs 3 years ago. I think we waited because we were waiting for the county furnishers, and then we just never put it back on to do with something.
Elsinore too.
So, along with that, another item I think we need to take a look at, we had a couple complaints of public comment last month about vacation rentals. Airbnb, people hooking up their RVs in the backyard and, and maybe in some yards that's okay, but maybe in some neighborhoods, if there's not enough parking and everything else, then that's not okay. So I think it's something we need to look at. I know most of the Coachella Valley has dealt with this, mainly because they have these big concerts down there, but I think we're seeing more and more coming this way. And the county has also dealt with it, so I would encourage Tom to look at the county and look at maybe a couple of the desert cities on, some examples, and, go down that path. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. With that, I will adjourn the city council meeting and take us straight into the cemetery district.